I'm sure you've heard this saying, comparison is the thief of joy. And that statement has never been more true in today's world of the internet. It's easy to get caught up in the scroll and even easier to compare yourself to other people's highlight reel. Don't fall for the trap, because the reality is you don't know what's behind what you are seeing. And if you are comparing apples to apples, which in most cases you're not, because your story is not their story and vice versa. Join us today as we peel back the layers of comparison and how to stay in your own lane in order to keep focused and confident in your own journey through life.
You feel like a vacation. You feel like everything I've been wanting and waiting for. And every day I'm wanting more. Even though we had a minor slip-ups, we're never, ever, ever giving up. Got the modern Gina kind of love. Real shit that comes from above. And my friends ask me how I know that you are the one. I know you're the one. I know you're the one.
Welcome to the show.
Yo, what's up? What's good?
It's all about staying in your own lane.
That's right.
And not getting lost in someone else's today.
Mm-hmm.
So staying in your own lane is another way of saying comparing yourself to someone else.
That's right.
And we say stay in your own lane, basically like, driving, right? Stay in your lane, bruh. Don't be looking at what I'm doing over here.
Exactly.
When
if you
you're looking
focus on what you doing,
Yeah.
you ain't got to worry about, what I'm doing over here.
Exactly.
And we ain't got to worry about having no accidents.
Booyah.
Right.
Anyway. All right. So before we get started, I want to just give out some little definitions like I do.
Nah, she do.
To talk about what
So
comparison
cute,
is. And then also I actually looked up highlight reel, because highlight reel is a new thing. Like that was not happening like 10 years ago.
No,
there was
wasn't.
no highlight reel that was out there. But here we go. Comparison, a consideration or estimate of the similarities or dissimilarities between two things or people. Okay.
Interesting.
And then highlight reel refers to a video that compiles the best clips from all other content. Although what is in the video will vary depending on the creator's goals, the idea is to show off the best moments.
Right.
So think of your highlight reel. And let me just back up. Highlight reel was out there before when we talk about movies, the trailers and things like that, but it wasn't a saying for people.
No, it wasn't.
So now it's a saying for people because, the highlight reel is what you see everybody posting on Facebook and Instagram, all the great things that are going on in their life and all the wonderful smiles. And sometimes when you look at that highlight reel, you were like, oh my gosh, that person's having the best life. Their life is so much better than mine.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. But
In reality
is, and I know this for a frigging fact. And
that grass ain't that green.
Yeah, the grass is not that green.
The way it look like
and
it is.
the smiles are just fake, because behind those smiles is a lot of pain.
That's right.
And I can say that because I did that. I remember like I had a whole different life outside of our trials. You know what I mean? And I would always put up all these smiles and, oh my gosh, my company and my business and my life and my curls and all this stuff. And people had no clue
basically
what was going on.
You was fronting.
Right.
Like you was in a good place.
What's
but
the old
wasn't.
song, No Future and You're Frontin'? Remember that song?
No who?
No Future and You're Frontin'. I'm gonna have to find that jank and play it to you. But
sometimes, babe, I love you, but you be pulling out some junk like.
No, I've got to remember that. I forgot who it was. But anyway, I'm not going to go through the singing part for you to try to make you realize. How about to actually
give me a little snippet of
no,
what it is?
I ain't giving you jack.
Right, okay, because I was like,
I'm
what?
not
Hold on, what's the name
today.
of that joint again?
No Future and You're Frontin'.
No Future in Your Front.
Yeah,
okay.
and then that might not be the actual song title, but that was like the what is it? What is it? The chorus.
Okay.
It's a hip hop song. Anyway,
we're gonna go with
that. We're gonna I'm gonna get them right, y'all.
All right.
But anyway, so today we're gonna really talk about comparison, because comparison truly is the thief of joy. When you are constantly looking at other people's lives, thinking that their life is better than yours or having more fun than you are. And let's just put it out there. They might be.
They might be.
They might be they might have a better life, quote unquote. They might be having more fun, quote unquote. But
you don't know exactly what it took for them to get there.
Right.
To
And
have that happen.
yes. And you don't know what they went through.
Right.
And or how long it took them
exactly
to get to where they are. A lot of the times when we see people all of a sudden blow up, we think, oh my gosh, they came out of nowhere. Them janks, they probably were out there doing this for years.
Right.
And when you hear like comedians and actors and entertainment people, artists and celebrities, they've been doing it for a long time.
Right.
Not everybody blows
up. It didn't literally just happen overnight.
Exactly.
You got to crawl before you walk.
There you go. So what we do when we compare ourselves and we look at these other people and think, oh my gosh, they have it so great. They this, that, and the other. We're comparing ourselves to someone else's timeline and we don't even know what that timeline is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are literally downing what we're going through, and what we're going through at that time might be necessary to get to the other side. A lot of the times when you see someone's blessings, there was a lot of pain.
But in order before they had those blessings, right?
Before those blessings came, there was a lot of learning, a lot of
up and downs, a lot
right.
of mental headaches,
right?
A lot of tears.
Yes, to get to where they are,
right?
And that's just how life works. So let's get into the conversation a little bit more. So the question is, why is it a bad idea to compare yourself, your life and business to someone else? And we have compiled 6 different answers for you guys that we're going to touch on and just kind of expound upon a little bit, just to give you a little thing to think about, like before you start doing this, and for you to be able to kind of control that whole comparison trait that we all have.
Yep.
So go ahead, babe. What's the first one?
Not realistic.
Yes. It's not realistic.
It's not.
When you're comparing yourself to someone else, looking at all of their social media and feeling empty or feeling like, man, I wish my life was, it's not realistic.
No.
Everyone has crap that they're going through.
Right. It's just individually different.
Right.
And
different levels of it.
Exactly.
And no one really puts their crap out on Front Street.
Right.
I.e. social media. Nobody does that. Even in regular, before social media was a thing, when you went up to somebody, and this is something that we do every single day. When you say to someone, hey, how's it going? And the other person goes, oh, it's good. No, right. It ain't. It's not good all the time.
What you should have been like is, okay, you asking me how am I doing? Do you really want to know?
Do you really want to know?
You really want to know?
Exactly.
Because I'll tell you if you really want to know how my day is going.
And we've been doing that for years. Like, it's if you just assume that everybody has a great life, and then also too, you just don't want to say what's really going on. When someone asks you, hey, how's things going? You're not going to sit there and say, well, I'm late on my bills. I almost got lost my job. I got kicked out. No one does that.
No, you feel like at the end of the day it's your business and you handle it the way you need to handle it.
Everyone always puts...
Or you don't want someone to judge you.
True. Everyone always puts the best foot forward, right? And that's even a saying. Put your best foot forward. No one really goes out there to put out their bad laundry or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, never in a million years.
So it's not realistic for you to look at somebody else's timeline. It's not realistic for you to look at someone else's life and think that everything's peaches and cream and rainbows and roses.
Because it's not.
It's not. And it might, or let me rephrase that. It might be right now.
Right.
But it has not always been.
Exactly.
Like we said, you gotta go through some stuff.
That's right.
To get to those blessings.
That's right.
And it's always an ebb and flow in life. Just like just like the waves in the ocean, it's always an ebb and flow. There's good times, there's bad times, there's, times of greatness, there's times of
Right. And with that being said, with the next one would be instant letdown.
Yes. When you compare yourself to other people, you're automatically going to feel bad.
That's right. That's right. Because you're constantly trying to build yourself up to be better than them somehow, some way, because you're always feeling like they do or everything they come across is better than whatever you compare yourself to. And that's the problem. You don't need to look at yourself and try to put yourself in their shoes. Stay in your shoes, build in your shoes. Right. Because your shoes is the reality of what you want to have, your dreams and your thoughts and your goals, and be able to say that you accomplished something and feel some worth.
Right. And it's your journey. Nobody else can be in your journey and live your life but you. And a huge thing to that also is, you know, the only person you really should be comparing yourself to is you.
That's right. Yourself. The
you
one
know?
and only.
And how was I 2 days ago? How was I a month ago? How was I a year ago? Have I changed? Am I the same way? Am I worse? Am I great?
Progressed? What can I do to make myself better?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
What next step can I take in my life to make things different from the way they were before a year ago?
You always should be comparing yourself to your own self.
How do I push myself in a position to not fall back anymore?
Right.
So there's so many things.
Exactly. And then the next one, I know we're going through these kind of fast, but the next one is FOMO. And what that is fear of missing out.
That's
and
right.
Before we get into fear of missing out, let me just give you the acronym, right, of fear. It's false evidence appearing real. So when we have this fear of missing out on whatever it is, on fun, on money, on success, on whatever it is, that is a false evidence appearing real, because in most cases you can do the work yourself and get to wherever it is that you want to be on your own, in your own mind. You can have the money, you can have the success, you can have whatever it is. You just have to do the work.
That's right.
And that's what we don't see other people doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't see their grind, because usually that's behind closed doors.
You're not really supposed to see their grind.
Right.
But if you truly know them and you know the identity of them, then you know exactly how they were, and you actually will see the progression in their changes of who they become.
Right.
You have to actually be around them to notice that. If you're not around them, then you'll never notice that, because again, you're talking to them once in a blue moon, so you think they're the same person, but you're not.
Right. Or if you don't know them and you're seeing them, you know, on social media, all you're seeing is their now.
Right. Exactly.
You're not seeing their beginning.
Or the in-between.
Right. Exactly. So, you know, try not to have that mindset of missing out on anything.
No need
or, you know, feeling like you have to catch up with anyone, because everyone's journey is truly your own journey, and it's completely different from anyone else.
It moves at a different pace.
Yes,
from
it does.
Everyone's journey moves at different paces. So
yes, it does.
My journey and my wife's journey, we, even though combined together, we have an ultimate goal, but there's still different journeys where we both have to reach that goal.
That's a really good point.
You know, but she moves at a certain pace, I move at a certain pace. In some cases, she moves faster at certain things where I move slower. Vice versa, I move faster at other things where she moves slower. That's just how it is.
And that's true with anyone. You know, your timeline is your own timeline, and that's just how it is.
That's right.
And it also, next point, it also distracts you.
Right.
Like we said kind of earlier, joking around when we made the whole driving analogy, when you are not looking, when you're not staying in your vehicle, in your lane, and you're constantly looking over to the next person at their car, at, you know, what they're doing, who's in their vehicle, all that, you just by design, your mind, your body and your hands that are on that wheel will start to shift and drift over to whatever it is that you're looking at, and cause collision. And the same thing goes for your own journey and your own life. When you're constantly looking at someone else, trying to emulate them, trying to be them, trying to copy them, trying to do whatever.
Trying to be better than them.
It's
not a competition, people.
No.
It's not a competition to see, oh, hey, I want to be better than this person. It's not about that. You being genuine about who you are and being a good person and just being nice in general, that stands out alone.
Completely.
If it's genuinely you, it's going to stand out. It doesn't matter about competition.
Right. And you're only competing with yourself, really.
Exactly.
And again, when you're constantly looking at somebody else, you will cause collision in your own life.
You get distracted.
You'll get distracted. And a lot of the times you'll get distracted with things that you don't even want to do.
Right.
Because you're looking at something else. You're looking at someone else in their life. And when it really boils down to it, you're like, I don't even want to do that.
Right. But you start pulling in the wrong type of energy.
Right.
And that's bad, negative energy that you don't want. So you want to always maintain being focused on yourself so you can do the things you need to do to have that ultimate positive energy to be able to manifest whatever it is that you want in your life to be.
Right.
Realistic for you.
Right. And you can use them as like, inspiration.
Right.
Hey, I would love to be able to get to this point where I can do ABC. But never look at it as I want to do that. I want to be them. I want to have what they have. Or, make it be so distracting to what you're doing that you can't focus on you.
Yeah.
Period.
It's a choice.
Totally.
And basically everything we've said thus far, and basically every episode, everything that has happened or could have happened or should have happened or will happen is a choice. Period.
Most definitely. Next one, babe.
Lose focus on your calling.
Yes.
You might have a purpose. God might have a purpose for you to be going down one path. And when you're not focused on that, going down that path and doing the things that he's asked you to do, you start getting distracted, lose focus, and you start getting caught up in other things.
Right.
And then when you start getting caught up in other things, that vision that you had that's supposed to be there to glorify you and to uplift you, it starts fading out. Because then you start getting glorified by the wrong types of visions, things that you didn't see coming because you made specific choices and wrong moves and wrong decisions.
Right.
So, if you're doing what you need to do by going down the right path and making the right choices, then you don't have to worry about, losing your focus on your calling. Because you're gonna be blessed abundantly by making the right decisions and the right choices.
That's really, I don't even have to say anything with that. I mean, I think the only thing I would add is that, like you said, your calling is given by God. So, you doing what he's asked you to do and listening to that still small voice and making sure that you are guided by the right feelings and energy and spirit. Will lead you to what you're supposed to be doing. And if you don't do that, like my husband said, you start living a life that you don't want to be living.
Nah.
And was never meant for you to live.
I know. Trust me, that is not something you want. Exactly. If you cannot put yourself into a situation, please don't. If you could think about it and it crosses your mind, stop right then and there at that moment and think long and hard before you make that choice.
Yep, take a pause.
Because when you make that next step, it could go left or it can go right. But either way, it's going to go somewhere. So you choose to make it a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
Because for everything you do wrong, you penalizing yourself. You pushing yourself back. Further and further away from your blessings.
Yep.
And deeper into misery and pain and destruction and manipulation and guilt and fear. So many different things. I can go on and on and on. That's just what it is.
True. 100% facts on that.
Yep.
So number 6 is you have unrealistic expectations.
Oh yeah, never do that.
And the biggest one that we said earlier is seeing someone else where they are and thinking that that's their beginning when really that's like the middle of their story or towards the end. Like you truly do not know what they had to do to get there.
Exactly. You don't.
How much time it took, what obstacles they had, what trials and tribulations they had to overcome. You have no idea
at all, or feeling like you should be in that place,
right?
But you don't know necessarily that being in that place was the perfect place for you anyway. Because just what it looks like that you feel like that should be your spot may not be what God has chosen for you.
Yep.
You know, and then when you fight to go get there and you get there, you ain't happy.
Not, right.
It ain't what you thought it was. It's crap. And then you kicking yourself, and then you got to start all over again.
All over again. You wasted all that time.
So much time. And we don't have that much time. Tomorrow's not promised, people, for nobody. It is not. When you lay your head down in that pillow, it is not guaranteed that you will wake up the next day.
No, it is not.
That's why you must thank God that you're waking up and that you're being able to breathe and have your senses and being able to do all the things you need to do on a daily basis to live your life and
do your best each day. And if you do have that blessing of waking up the next day, then do that day better than the one you did before.
What you fail to realize is that each day that you wake up and you fight to do the right thing that day, just focus on that day, because you're gonna look at it. It's gonna start on Monday. Then Tuesday gonna come along. You're gonna try to do the same thing again. Focus on doing good. Then Wednesday, it's the same thing. Then Thursday, you continue to do this process so much that it becomes repetitive. That every day that you wake up, you focus on doing good in your life, and it's a repetitive situation where you do not allow yourself to get caught up.
Right.
But it's a battle that you have to continue to fight.
Right.
No matter what, you got to be able to push out all those demons and those bad things. Period.
Right. And repetition allows you to create habits.
Exactly.
And
good
habits. And exactly. Well, good and bad.
Good
but
and bad.
Hopefully what you're saying, if you're doing the right thing,
good habits.
You're creating good habits. And habits are things that you don't have to think about. Like when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you make your bed. Those are just habits. Those are things that you do without even really thinking. It's like autopilot. So if you do what my husband just said here, and you get up and you focus on what you can do better that day, then you're going to constantly be leveling up every single day.
And I feel like if you're doing any one of those 6 things, the first step you need to be asking yourself is, as well as me changing and trying to make the right choices, let me forgive myself first. Because if you don't forgive yourself, you won't be able to make those choices.
Right.
Because there's some guilt, whether it's big, small, or whatever it is, there's some guilt or fear that's standing in the way from you moving forward to success and be successful in your life and doing the right things and making the right choices. Let that go.
Right.
Just let it go. L-I-G it. I'm going to say it again.
All right. So now the question is, how can you refrain from getting caught up in the hype and stay focused on your own thing? And we've got, three different things we thought of. So, babe, first.
All right. First thing is to realize that no one else is living your life.
Wow. That's
you have to know that.
Wait. Say that one again.
Realize that no one can live your life but you. Not your grandma, not your sister, not your cousin, not your uncle, not your aunt. Only you can live your life. So if it's your life, do the right things for your life. Even if you've made mistakes, try not to make those mistakes no more. Work on it. Work on it till you can't not work on it. Work on it till, if you continue working on trying to be better, trust and believe I am living proof you can and will be better.
Yeah. And
repetition. And
then also too with that, don't worry about what everyone else is doing.
Don't worry.
You have to figure out what your goals are. You have to figure out what is needed for you to be able to reach them.
Right.
And nobody else can tell you how to do that. They might be able to give, different ideas and opinions and things like that.
And that's if you ask them.
And that's if you ask for them. Exactly. But you still are the one that has to do you and go through this life. And so make sure that you're doing the things that feel good to you, that feel aligned to you. Make sure that you don't ever look at anyone else's life, anyone else's experience, and feel like you have to be exactly like that person or exactly like whatever came out of that experience. Because you are you, and you're the only you on this planet.
That's right. You should live your best life for yourself. Period.
Yep.
All right. So the next one, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Who you are right then and there in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time you need to compare yourself to anyone. You know, hey, yesterday, let's go down. When I woke up, I did X, Y, Z. Let's see, how can I take X, or better yet, how can I take Z and make that better?
No, differentiating the X and the
I'm just going to the X, Y, Z. The X and the Y could have been working out right, and then when you got to the Z situation, bam.
It's
just what it is.
Something I saw on a podcast that we listened to, and they were talking to Mike Tyson, and he was saying that he actually takes inventory every night of his day.
Yep.
And I thought that was like so good. Like I was like, what?
I remember him saying that.
And he said that literally because he's gone through a lot of different things in his life, he literally looks every night and says, what did I do today? What was good? What was bad? What can I change?
Right.
And make sure that after he takes inventory, that he vows that the next day he will change those things that he needed to change, or that he cited that he needed to change.
Sure did.
And that's exactly what this means. Comparing yourself to who you were yesterday and being a better version every single day.
Yep.
Taking inventory on your day, taking inventory of what did you do? Did you do everything you said you were going to do? Did you procrastinate?
Right.
Did you, were you kind to people? Were you, literally taking inventory?
Because in reality, when you take that inventory and you take a look at your list and you have all these boxes checked off, you start feeling good about yourself. You're feeling very good. Those endorphins start coming through. I mean, it's a high like no other.
Right.
I mean, because you feel good about everything. And when you feel good ultimately all over, and those endorphins are coming through your mental and everything, you start feeling healthy. Your body starts breathing. You start relaxing. You start seeing clear and understanding what it is that you need to understand and how to receive whatever it is that you need to receive out here. Period.
And you feel good about your dad blame life, and you're not complaining. You're not comparing yourself as much, because you see that you are doing good and you're making progress.
Right.
And that gives you that, like, okay, all right, pat on the back. I'm doing good. So tomorrow I'll do even better. So compare yourself to only you yesterday. Every day get better.
That's right. So be true to you.
This is the last one.
Don't be afraid to be your authentic self.
And what do we mean by authentic? For a lot of years, I remember for me, I would tone down my personality. Right. I would literally be somewhat of a chameleon. At work, I would be one way, be really quiet, to myself, yada, yada. Right. At church, I'd be a certain way, very quiet, to myself. At home, I'm loud. Right. I'm loud. I talk loud. I laugh loud. It's completely different. So when people would see me at work and then they would see me outside of work, they'd be like, what the heck?
Hell? That ain't the same person we know. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I had to be loud at work, but I could have still tamed down some of that, but still been me and not been so quiet and timid and like really not speak, really not talk, because that ain't me. I talk all the time. Right. And at work and in church, especially at church too, people had no clue really how I was. And so be authentic all the time. Right. It does not mean that you in certain scenarios and certain situations should be acting a daggone fool. Of course, that's not what we mean. But we mean like still be you.
Yeah, be you.
Still use, still have that same personality. Tone it down where it needs to be toned down if you're at work or certain events or whatever the case may be. But still feel like you're you, so that when people see you, they're not like, you are so different at home than you are at work.
That, and also for your own, personal reasons, not to feel like, hey, I got to sit here and I got to be judged by this person, or I gotta be this certain way for them to,
or feeling fake
to make them feel a certain way. But when you genuinely yourself, the better of you comes out, and people tend to like the better person. If you like yourself, they're gonna like you,
right?
Unless you sitting here just being a nasty, rude person, like my wife said. That's the only way. I mean, that's
the only time that people would not like that. But I mean, I remember I even had a boss. Remember my boss Anna?
Oh yeah.
And she was gonna be Anna. I don't care where she was, and that's just how she was. She was the same way inside work and outside of work. Loud, laughing loud. That's just how she was, and everyone accepted her, and they knew who she was.
Yep.
They knew that's just her. And that was someone who really taught me that. Like, I don't have to sit here and be fake at work. I can still be me and be at corporate, and
people gonna either like you or they not.
There you go.
But you can't worry about who likes you and who doesn't like you. As long as you love yourself and like yourself and believe in yourself, that's all that really matters.
And people really want people to be real.
Right.
Especially these days.
Right.
They really do want you to be real.
Say what you mean and mean what you say.
You always have to be true to you.
Right.
And we are all different in different situations, like I said, but always be you.
Yep.
Don't ever try to emulate somebody else or be a chameleon of someone else. Be who you are.
Yep.
And if you like something that someone else is doing, saying, whatever, great, but still take that in your own personality and make it you. You know what I mean? And if you do those things, I really feel like you won't have to worry about comparing yourself to anybody because you're going to love you.
That's all you're going to be focused on, to be honest.
That's self-love, of just, I'm okay.
Right.
I feel good with who I am, and I don't want to be anybody else
or try
but
to
me.
Be what anyone else's standards are. I want to just stay in my own lane and do what I do. I'm happy with what I do.
Right. And in terms of your journey, I know sometimes it can get rough in terms of, you feel like you're not where you want to be.
That's life.
But I really feel like everyone's journey, the timeline that you're on is what God wants for you. And if you're not somewhere that you think you should be, then maybe you need to see if there's something that you need to be learning in that time frame. What do you need to learn? What is God trying to teach you in that time frame of waiting until your quote unquote big moment, or whatever that big moment is for you that you're trying to get to? Because I think a lot of the times we try to go through life so fast that sometimes we miss things that he's really trying to show us. And so before you sit there and try to rush your journey, really look and see what you might be missing. You might need to learn something. You might need to reincorporate something. You might need to change something up. Yeah. And have some patience. Yep. And if you do that, you'll be able to really see and go, oh, yeah, okay, now I know why it took this long.
And just realize when you putting out a lot of negative energy, that negative energy is going to come back twofold.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Right.
It's not something that's healthy. It breaks you down. If you truly are a person who has a heart, a conscience, a mind to think about right and wrong, whatever it is that you're doing wrong, it's going to break you down eventually. And at that moment, you have to ask yourself, what choice do I want to make? Do I want to continue to be surrounded by all of this pain, this hurt, this suffering, this miserable life of not feeling like I'm anybody or worthless? Or do I want to make my life where it's abundantly happiness all day, every day? And that's just what I have to do.
And then one other thing, too, that I wanted to just put out here in regards to comparison. I've seen a lot on different people's pages lately with regards to Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you name it, where there are people that don't. I feel like there's some people out there that are just angry at other people's success or other people, doing well in their businesses and whatever. And rather than giving them a hand clap and being like, I'm so, great for you. I'm so glad you made it. I'm so glad you're doing well or whatever. They want to tear other people down, like in the comments. And I've seen this a lot in different people that I follow. And some people have literally just been like, y'all, really? Like, are you serious? Y'all, again, I feel like that also is the negative side of comparing yourself to somebody else. You see somebody else where you want to be, you know, the success that you want to have with whatever business or whatever the case may be, the life that you want to have. And then you know, rather than just either scrolling by, right? Because you don't have to, no one told you had to make a comment. Nobody has to comment on anything. Rather than doing that, or rather than giving them their props and being like, good for you, you have to say something, pick them apart, say something that just doesn't need to be said. And I think that just shows, you know, whenever, like we've said before, hurt people hurt people. That just shows that you're not where you want to be
and you got
in
a
your
long
life.
ways to go.
Yeah. So rather than doing that, just look at those folk that you know, that you do want to have their success or success like theirs or whatever it is, and be happy for them, because again, you don't know what they went through to get to where they are, and leave it at that. If you are feeling like typing something negative, you don't need to do that. So wrapping it all up,
Right.
comparison is the thief of joy. You will not have joy in your own life when you are constantly comparing yourself to other people and looking at other people's lives and what you don't have.
Right.
Stay in your lane, stay diligent and vigilant and persistent and consistent of changing your life, becoming a better person daily. All day, every day. And when you do that, and you start to see, like we said earlier, those little progressions, those little, you know, pats on the back, you'll start to feel better about what you're doing. And next thing you know, heck, your blessings are going to be there. And you're going to be where you want to be.
You will definitely see it. Yeah, I mean, I see it on a daily, more and more each day now. And I got to stop in the moments that they happen and say something to my wife or call her up if I'm not at the crib. That's just what it is. And she'll tell you that's exactly what I do, more so than I've ever done. I mean, like the realization of how clear and the clarity of understanding life and seeing life is a whole new perspective that I just want more and more of it each day. Yeah. And celebrate those wins. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate those things, you know, and that's the joy. That's the joy in the journey. The joy in the journey. That's right. And close that chapter and close those chapters of negativity. Be a better version of yourself. You can do it. You definitely can do it. You most certainly can. And with that, we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of the Show Up and Show Out podcast. Yes, right. Mm-hmm. Enjoy your journey, y'all. Yes, find joy in your journey and kick comparison to the curb. It is not needed. We hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be listening to this. Be blessed. And we will talk to you soon. On the next time on the Show Up and Show Out podcast. Peace out. Peace out, y'all. Yeah. Our love, it gleams like diamonds. They see us shining. Hashtag couple goals. Catch us on the gram. We hopping.